Today I'm sharing my damp refresh technique for revitalizing bouncy curls. It takes me less than 5 minutes and it's perfect for when I want to revitalize those stretched out curls, smooth out some frizz, and get ready for a new hairstyle. So if that sounds good to you, then check out this video. Hello, this is April with Easy Curly Hairstyles, and I just wanted to share with you this super fast damp refresh technique. Now, damp means I'm just using a little bit of water to add some moisture back into my hair. You can see this is the before condition. So let's get right into it. Step one is to section out the hair. I usually section the top, so either from above my ears or a little bit higher, and I'll do that top section last. I want to do the under layers first while the top layers are out of the way, section it in half, and then begin at the very bottom. So I want to try to refresh at the nape of my neck first and then work my way up. And I'll link these sectioning clips in the description box below. They're really affordable and are great. I recommend finding the ones that have a little bit of grip on the thumbprint area because that makes it easier for wet styling and maintaining that grip on them so they don't slip out of your hands. So the next step is to dampen the hair. You can see as I'm lifting these sections, you can see the frizz and how some of the curl clumps or curl families have separated, and that's why you can see this sort of webbing of frizz throughout my hair right now. And what I'm trying to do with the water is to just smooth those out. I'm not raking it through, I'm not brushing it out. I'm really just using the pads of my fingers to smooth out the water and the product that was in the previous day. Now, if you've already tried this and reactivating the product that you've already used or that's already in your hair, if that is not enough, which usually isn't enough for me, then I add a light gel for this process. Now, I did want you to see how the refreshed curls here are looking stringy, and that's really due to not enough water. So in this case, my hair is medium density, but the strands of my hair are thick, and so they require more water to actually get saturated with water and in order to get that smooth ribbons of curls back again. So I'm going to show you a different technique that actually works better for my hair for applying the water, and that's actually to apply more water without the spray bottle. I'd have to spray and spray and spray too long to get it as wet as I want to. So I'm going to show you on this opposite side that I actually leave a trickle on the sink or have a bowl of water in front of me where I can dip my hands into it. Then with wet hands, I apply a pea-size amount of gel and then be able to smooth it in. So with wet hands and that pea-size amount of gel, I'm rubbing my hands together, which is emulsifying the gel, so wetting it down a bit before applying it to my hair. And that's what really helps me to smooth out that frizz and have less of that stringiness to create larger curl clumps. The more water I apply to my hair, the larger curl clumps I can achieve. And that emulsifying also helps to prevent any globs of gel in certain sections of your hair because you're smoothing it out all throughout your hands and fingertips and applying it in a more evenly distributed way. So as I mentioned, I'm going to just perform this same technique, moving my way up, and I want to take those curl clumps just as they are, work with them. So again, I don't want to separate them or brush them out or rake through them. I want to just keep the little curl families as they are and just try to smooth them all back together. So here I'm dipping my hand in the water, trying to emulsify some gel, and then just look at that. Those bouncy curls are happy. But I do have to have a disclaimer here that the curl pattern on the top of my head is much tighter than the curl pattern, or I should say wavy pattern, that's at the nape of my neck. I have very different spring factor for the different curl patterns that I have. So again, my hair is just damp. It's not dripping wet at all, so it'll dry pretty quickly. And then once I'm done with one side, you'll see I'm using a flat hand to smooth out any of the remaining gel that I have on my hands. And that really helps to smooth out those baby hairs and any flyaways that are around my face. So as I move over to this last section, I'm just going to show as I'm dipping down is where I'm just dipping my hands in the water, and then I'll slow it down here so you can see how I'm just pressing the water and the emulsified gel into those curls, just pressing them back together. And it really just helps to smooth them out, recoat those curls with fresh product until they come back together, have that shine, have some added moisture back into it. And like I said, I like using a light gel for this refresh process. Here I'm doing that flat hand again for the baby hairs and then just fluffing it out. So this is what it looks like. Complete refresh is done. And I could just air dry like this, just leave it. But water does weigh down my waves and curls, so to get that extra bounce, this is a totally optional step, but when I have an extra 5 minutes, this is what I do. So I'm going to do Pixie Diffusing, and I'm only gonna do this for 5 minutes. So it only took me 5 minutes to do the damp refresh part, and this diffusing is just an extra 5 minutes because it's just barely wet. And all I want to do is to dry the hair in this lifted position. So Pixie Diffusing is where the cup of the diffuser is up to your scalp. So starting from the end, I have the strands of my hair in the diffuser and I slowly lift it up so the curls are in their tightest form as you lift it up to your head. And then I'm drying with low heat so that the curls can dry in that compressed curl form. And then when I release it, it just has more lift and more bounce, and it really revitalizes those curls for me. So if I were to let my hair air dry, what it's doing is it's setting my curls in the elongated curl pattern that's created by the water weight pulling my curls down. So for me, air drying creates a longer, wavier curl pattern for me, but when I do this Pixie Diffusing, it really gives lift and much more spring factor to my curls. So definitely try out what works best for your hair and what creates the finish that you're looking for, because everybody's curl pattern, density, and texture is different. And so you really have to find out what your hair likes and what style finish you're looking for. And take pictures how you're experimenting so you can compare the differences. The next step would be to scrunch out the crunch of the gel. You may not need this if you're using a cream or a foam instead for your product. And this could also be done with bare hands or with a silk or cotton towel. And also separate out any major curl clumps, which always happens to me. So I do like to separate those. It really helps to add some more volume to the hair. And I'll show you some more on the back of my hair. See, I always get some major curl clumps. It's definitely easier to separate with two hands, but as I'm holding the mirror here, just so I can see what I'm doing, I want to show you. I'm just trying to piece those apart. And sometimes even after separating them, they just clump back together again. It's just the way it is. But the next step is going to be fluffing. And so what I'm doing here is just at the roots, I'm combing out the roots. This again is totally optional, and what this is doing is it is separating the curl families, but just at the first couple of inches. And what this does is just to create some more root volume, but this can create frizz and some crown frizz because you're separating, manipulating, touching a lot of the hair doing this process. So if this doesn't work for you, that's totally okay. I just do this sometimes. Sometimes I just use my fingertips to go in there and kind of shake out the roots a little bit, just to give me a little bit of volume and a little bit of movement at the roots there. And that's it. 5 minutes for the damp refresh process, an additional 5 minutes to diffuse to get that added bounce, a little bit of volume, fluff it out, scrunch it out, and ready to go. Ready to restyle or just leave it as is. Well, I hope you have fun with your curls today. If you appreciate this curly content, please like and subscribe. I thank you so much for all your support with this channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.